The main question I'm trying to answer in my book is who was reading what in the first century and where. The answer to that question is important because it directly connects to a number of problems related to biblical studies. For example, how were traditions passed along? What role did texts play? Who had access to this stuff? What controlled the textual transmission of the Christian tradition and influenced its stability? Therefore, my book is important because it helps historians reconstruct the history and culture of Jesus' time. It helps interpreters more accurately divide God's Word, and it helps believers better understand and apply the Scriptures to their lives and ministries. Oh gosh, a number of things. I think I could spend the rest of the day talking about my real-life experiences in communal reading groups. But if I were to just pick one to mention here, I'd probably pick the most recent factor that drew me into this topic, and that was my PhD studies and research. That prior to getting my PhD studies, I spent a lot of time about 3 inches from the text in a field known as textual criticism. So for my PhD, I kind of wanted to just take a step back in a sense and get more of a 30,000-foot bird's eye view of ancient book culture. It wasn't long before I started reading and noticing various accounts, like a letter Augustine wrote to Jerome telling him about an uproar that occurred in his church because of one word in Jerome's Latin translation, the Vulgate, of Jonah 4:6, that differed from what his congregation had been hearing read communally for generations. Or of a bishop writing to a church about the Gospel of Peter, advising them not to read it communally. Or of a 2nd century manuscript that says, people can go and read the Shepherd of Hermas individually, but that's not something the people in the church should read communally. And so as my studies continued, I noticed some of the same things going on, not just in the 4th century and the 3rd century and the 2nd century, but all the way back to the 1st century. And so I was continually discovering things I had never seen or heard of before, and that kept drawing me deeper into the topic. I think anyone interested in the historical setting of Christianity or historical issues related to New Testament studies will most benefit from the book, as well as believers that just desire to know the Scriptures better.